What's up, Starcraft fans? Today we're doing the tier list for Out of Sight on Minor Evac. Brian, let's hear the mutation.
Minor Evac is the map where you must destroy Bright Blinger, and then lose to the Eradicators. There's also something about infested, and like, boats or something. There are no enemy units on the map, since you don't see them. There's also someone peeing on the map continuously.
Alright, so we have a bunch of guests here today, so let's actually just begin right away. Abathur, where do we have him?
Abathur, he has overseers for detection, but how do you attract the Purifier Beam? You make overlords, you put them all in one place, you put all your toxicness in one place. The Purifier Beam keeps them all contained in one area.
Oh yeah.
With that being said, he's not the worst, but he's, C to E tier. E for everything.
E for everything, because he has to use everything just to lure away the Purifier Beam. Exactly. You have all your minerals, you might as well use them. Alarak, where do we have him?
Alarak kills everything. He waves his arms and it kills all the enemies. You can notice the wave goes through the colonist ships, so he's killing all the colonists too. And just in case you didn't notice, those Purifier Beams, they're red. That's because they're Alarak's Purifier Beams too. He's testing his units, so he's killing his own army as well. And also his ally. So Alarak is clearly top tier for his ability to kill literally everything. So at the very least, we have to have A for Alarak.
That makes sense.
All of us are dead.
That makes sense. Even the letter A is the same color as Alarak, so there's literally nowhere else for him to be. And he starts with the same letter as A. It just makes perfect sense. Alright, let's put Alarak in A. Arcturus, where do we have him?
I'm sorry, but he's F tier. As in, he literally falls all the time. The dude has some serious gastric issues. Every time I see him, sooner or later, I see the field is filled with an odorless, colorless, green stinky gas. Which stinks so much that even enemies start losing their objective in life.
You know what? That's perfectly correct. I'm not sure about odorless or colorless. I mean, have you smelled his contaminated strike? I'm not sure if that is odorless and colorless, but you're right. Yeah,
that's more like
yeah.
That's more like it.
Yeah. Every time Arcturus shoots a contaminated strike, he uses mandate, and mandate could be a euphemism for gas, which is, his gastric acid stuff, which makes sense. That does mean that he farts a lot. Maybe his giant finger on the menu screen is actually full of fart. So yeah, all right. Arcturus goes in F tier.
Mm-hmm. I heard he went to the doctor, but he had a major explosive diarrhea. It affected him so badly that even his workers can't decide whether they're laborers or conscripts.
Well, the thing is, they don't decide for themselves. Arcturus decides for them.
Yeah, that's why I said that they can't decide. Like,
you know
Arcturus
what?
is one.
Never mind. That is literal facts. All right, let's move on. Artanis, where do we have him?
Right, Artanis. So his Archons just absorb the energy from the Purifier Beams, which makes them really beefy. So defending the ships will be super easy. So I have him double S.
Double S tier. Yeah, he's gonna be basically like Iron Man for the Avengers movie who just absorbs Thor's lightning.
Power at 400% capacity.
How about that?
That makes sense. That makes him double S tier. Let's move on. Dehaka, where do we have him?
Dehaka. All right. Let's just all talk about the elephant in the room. Dehaka has an eating disorder. He's eating planes. He's eating tanks. He's even ate my homework the other day. You blame the dog for eating your homework, not Dehaka. It's like, what the hell?
It's a dog's job.
He has to watch what he eats. It's like he's out of control. He's going to get diabetes. So I think Dehaka is D for diabetes.
D for diabetes. Oh my Donnie. D for Donnie. Oh my Donnie. Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Dehaka will get diabetes. He probably needs a diet too, so that's also D tier. Alright, let's put Dehaka in D tier. Fenix, where do we have him?
Yeah, for a robot, he complains a lot. One might say he and his robots have a personality disorder. Right, at the same time, he's like the villain in a shonen manga. Whenever he switches suits, he's like, this isn't even my final form.
You know what? I guess you can call it a personality disorder, but except instead of having one body, multiple personalities, it's like the reverse of that with one personality, multiple bodies. So in a way, I guess it is a personality disorder, but except it's the bodies that have one personality.
Yeah. For some reason, whenever I think about Calderis as well, he reminds me of T800. Just imagine a zealot with his fist on the ground, and as soon as his personality is uploaded, he's spewing, "Come with me if you want to live."
Like the
Now, also at
Terminator.
the same time,
You know what?
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
actually right. Yeah, Kaldalis does remind me a little bit of the Terminator person. Imagine if Kaldalis had Arnold Schwarzenegger's accent. That would be awesome.
yeah. At the same time, when he's attacking, he's like Luffy from One Piece, shouting "Gomu Gomu no Gatling" as he rushes, slicing and dicing everything.
Okay,
So
you kind of lost me. there.
overall, I think I will rank him S for a schizophrenic powerhouse.
Okay, there are a lot of words that you come up with that start with S, and schizophrenic is certainly one of them. Therefore, Phoenix is S. Let's put Phoenix in S tier. Hot and Horner, where do we have him?
This mutation is great for Horner because it lets them hide from their problems by pretending they can't see the fact that they are losing horribly because they're Han and Horner. So they get to just avoid their problems by saying, if I can't see that the enemies are beating me, then they must all be dying to me.
See no evil.
So they get to hide from their problems. They get to hide from their weakness. Unfortunately, they also get to hide from the tier list. So I'm not sure we can put them on the tier list.
Just delete them. Just delete us.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Well, we could create a special tier for them, though we couldn't find them tier.
All right. Let's put them in the not in this tier list tier. There we go. Karax, where do we have him?
Karax is gonna make your life pretty difficult here. His robot army is terrifying to the civilians, which will make them give you a lower rating on your app, so it will make it harder to get jobs in the future. So I have him in E tier.
Oh yeah, guys. So remember, when you're applying for jobs, make sure not to wear a scary robot armor so that your interviewer will actually hire you for the job you're applying for. Very good life advice there. Very nice, Zero. Let's move on. Oh wait, Karax in E tier. There we go. Kerrigan, where do we have him?
Kerrigan, I have her in D. She has overseers. You shouldn't be making Omega Warrants for detection. Overseers are the way to go, especially if you're playing P2, P3, P0.
That makes sense.
And then in terms of feeding the Purifier Beam, Zerglings, they can hop up and down cliffs. That's like super crucial.
Yeah.
Make use of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Mass humanity with Zerglings.
Exactly. And aside from that, the important thing here is that the Overseers can run away from the beam, whereas Omega Worms can't. So you'll actually lose them. So you actually have to use Overseers instead of the Omega Worms.
Next one is... Yep.
So let's put Kerrigan in D tier. Nova, where do we have him?
Nova is deeply offended this mutation because the enemies are trying to act like they can be invisible better than her. But everyone knows that you just have to pick P3 Nova so you can assert your dominance by being even more invisible than the enemy units. So the key here is you have to use P3 Nova. And by being even more invisible than the enemy units, this will cause them to immediately feel completely frustrated and outdone, and they will give up immediately. So obviously this makes P3 Nova S tier, but any other Nova, B tier. She's just being outdone by them.
Yeah, she's just being outdone. That's why it's B tier. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Raynor, where do we have him?
Raynor. So I've watched enough zombie movies to know that the UV lights will kill zombies, which means the ships will be extremely easy to defend. So I have him in S tier.
S tier. But hold on. Where will the UV rays come from?
From the scans, of course.
Wait, you're telling me that scans are radioactive?
Apparently so. I'll have to ask Subsorian.
But wouldn't that mean they also have stuff like X-rays, gamma rays, and other dangerous rays? I mean, he has Raynor after all, so maybe he has all the rays, you know.
Possibly.
So
We will have to find out when this mutation rolls out.
all right, I guess we'll have to find out, guys. What rate did you have him?
S tier.
All right, I can't argue with that. Let's put Raynor in S tier. Let's move on. How about Stet Boy? Where do we have Stet Boy?
Step Boy. Absolutely, you must do P1 for this. It's the ultimate invulnerable Statolites.
Yeah,
That's the way to go. And Banelings, Mecha Banelings, they have Splash. So
gotta have
it's a
Splash.
no-brainer.
Yeah, you gotta have Splash. with
Splash
Banelings.
is awesome because Splash you don't have to worry about sight. Just splash away, splash.
Yeah, it's just Splash.
Step Boy B for best buddy, but you're not using his best buddy.
That makes sense. Also, you gotta have Stet Boy. You gotta have Gary as the bait against the Purifier Beam because Gary can fly. That he can actually just lure the Purifier Beam away, and that's why he's B for best buddy. Stukov, where do we have him?
So Stukov simply has to be S tier, and the reason is because you may have remembered when you first arrive on the planet,
Yeah.
the Deborah Green already tells you about how a lot of the colonists have already died. So Stukov comes in here and says, "Don't worry, everyone else, they can't do anything about the colonists that already died, but I can help them still." So Stukov comes in and he helps everyone, even the colonists who have been already brutally murdered,
Brutally
so that
murdered.
everyone can be helped. So clearly, that puts Stukov in S tier.
All right. I'm trying to find the flaw in the logic, but there is simply none. Stukov helps everyone, especially the dead ones. That's why he's in S tier. Swann, where do we have him?
So Swann is just extremely easy here. He makes his own Hercules and just picks the civilians off of the planet without having to wait for the lazy drivers of the Hercules that are already on the map. So I have him in S tier also.
Fantastic. Swann is, of course, an S tier commander because his name starts with S. And also, that's a great point. Why don't they just do that every time minor evac rolls around? Just have Swann load up everyone in his Hercules. And his Hercules can tack jump. Right? Why go through the bother of launching ships that takes 2 minutes and makes all the infested angry? Very right, Zero. Alright, Swann goes in S. Tychus, where do we have him?
Tychus. So we move unseen, and that is a big problem because Tychus can't detect. It's just
Yeah.
you get a free unit and he can't detect. That's crap. So
Garbage.
but you do have an outlaw that can detect. Vega.
Vega.
And Vega is really good because during the mission you have to deal with aberrations, you have to deal with banshees, and how do you deal with that? It's like
Very
Vega is
annoying.
pretty much a one shot dominate and taken out, and it's on your side.
Right?
So
Those
you
guys
can-
are annoying to deal
You,
with.
you
so
should be
wanna
able to
have them
solo
on
this
your
as
side.
Vega.
Exactly.
It's like it's a
Vega.
no-brainer. And Vega
No-brainer.
is a female, so she is sexy, and as Tychus says, can't handle all this raw sex appeal. And with that much sex appeal, that's S for sexy.
That makes sense. S for sexy. Alright, let's put Tychus in S tier. Vorazun, where do we have him?
Vorazun is the true master here, because Vorazun can stop time. And you might be thinking, but if she stops time, doesn't the colonist ship not progress? Well, yes, that is true. So isn't it useless for the colonist ships? Okay, but have you considered if you stop time while everyone else is busy following the map instructions and losing to the Eradicators, Vorazun can freeze the Eradicators and then win against the Eradicators. And therefore, we simply have to put Vorazun into S tier for her ability to break the map by stopping time.
And more importantly, doing the bonus objective. Of course, why haven't I thought of this? If there are no eradicators on the map, then nothing will eradicate the colonists anymore. Then they can resume their work. It's perfect logic.
Yeah.
Oh my Donna, we've solved it. Vorazun destroys eradicators, gets the bonus objective, and gets S tier. Perfect. Zagara, where do we have him?
Yeah, Zagara. She's an explosive hottie. You know, she marks all the triple S standards. Sexy, seductive, sparkly.
Sparkly. Wait. You used schizophrenia for Phoenix. Clearly, you had a lot of words that start with S. Now, sparkly. What part of Zagara is sparkly?
You know,
Yeah.
the thing about her unit is they only know skin to skin contact. You know, just look at the Bane Link. It's perfect in every way. Perky, round, and jiggly. You want to snuggle between them. You're like just in heaven.
Okay, I'll forget you ever said that. What letter?
Yes, I provided some hard evidence here. The only conclusions definitely is P1 is the best and Triple S is the standard for it.
You know what? I'm trying so hard to think of things to argue with about you, but you've convinced me. Like, that is the most convincingness of convincement that I've ever been convinced with. Therefore, I think it's undeniable fact at this point that Zagara is indeed triple S. We might even think of doing a quadruple S if such a thing exists, but one miracle at a time. Let's put Zagara in triple S. Zeratul, where do we have him?
I'm not actually sure why he's on this tier list. He's dead at this point in the story, so he literally just won't do anything to help. So I have him in F tier. Maybe his own tier called Dead tier.
Dead
He's
tier.
completely useless tier.
Maybe C tier for corpse, or D tier for dead, or B tier for body.
A tier for ashes.
Ashes. All right, let's put Zeratul in all those tiers. All right. Those are all the commanders in this week's tier list. So hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea for what else you do, please leave a comment, and happy April Fool's Day, everyone. I'll see you next time.